Y'all, we consume so many Chinese products and we don't even know it. The foundation of our American businesses are often over in China.
Well, the tariff is out, and you might be surprised how many Chinese people actually support it. And I'll try to explain it as simple as I can.
Hello amazing viewer, this is Comfort for Life. I bring to you a compilation of TikTok videos together with famous channel show videos for educational purposes. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and to my returning viewers, I love and appreciate you. Let's dive into today's video.
So people are beginning to report that they're receiving these notices for tariffs on their international packages. And all I'm going to say is this might be the end of fast fashion. Shout out to Wired.com because they published this article that says U.S. shoppers facing fees up to $50 or more to get packages from China. Just a day after Donald Trump's new tariffs with Chinese imports kicked into effect, shipping companies have already started charging higher import duties and processing fees, bewildering American consumers. And over the past 24 hours, U.S. shoppers have reported receiving notifications from UPS and DHL stating they owed anywhere between $20 and $50. Now, some small business owners, meanwhile, say that these new fees are forcing them to temporarily halt sending orders to the U.S. completely. Now, Leslie Brown, who is an owner of a Canadian secondhand clothing store, says that she's stuck with $30,000 of items that she can't move across the border, which is the lifeblood of her business. Now, U.S. consumers who use the website Shein, which is also noted for their fast fashion, have been particularly impacted. Even if they made their purchases long before the tariffs were announced, they are now faced with either heavy penalties in some cases and more than the value of the item inside the packages that are being sent. Like, imagine buying something on Shein for like $30 and the tariffs are more than the package. I don't really know anything on Shein more than $30, but you know what I'm trying to say. Now, an artist out of Pennsylvania by the name of Chardonnay Love said that she received a text message from DHL on Tuesday explaining that she needed to pay $26.20 in import duties to an order that she made from Shein that cost her roughly around $267.14. Now, that package that was shipped out of this Providence in China came to customs in Cincinnati on Tuesday, and this is according to the shipping records that was given to Wired from DHL. Now, DHL notes that if those duties aren't paid by any customer, that those packages typically go back to the Providence where it came from within 5 days. Just be aware that not every website offers you a refund. So if you're ordering from a website that says no refunds, i.e. certain places that I order from, if it's coming from overseas and you decline the package and decline to pay the tariff fee, you're not going to get your money back. So you're kind of in the middle of a rock and a hard place. Now, other people have reported similar experiences on Facebook, Reddit, and other social media websites. Users said that they're being charged similar amounts to receive their Shein purchases or those from other retailers. And now what's crazy, it's not just tariffs that are being implemented by the Trump administration. According to Wired, it said that the Trump executive orders not only raised tariffs on Chinese goods, but it also eliminated a long-standing trade exemption that allows smaller packages to be sent from China to U.S. duty-free. So long as those values are less than $800. As of Tuesdays, shoppers, businesses, and e-commerce sites now need to account for about 10% additional tariffs, as well as routine import duties applied to different category of items, plus processing and broker fees. This abrupt change has thrown off online shopping industries into chaos as sellers, shippers, companies, customers, and brokers and consumers scramble to figure out how to absorb those new costs. Now, all I'm going to tell y'all to do is shop locally. Now, albeit you can shop locally and get those items in hand and walk out of the store with them, those prices will go up so long as tariffs are in place. But at least you know you're going to be able to get your item without the red tape of tariffs.
All right, guys, it appears that the United States Postal Service is once again accepting packages from China. There was a temporary suspension a couple days ago because Trump had put a 10% tariff on everything coming in from there, as well as the removal of the de minimis exclusion. Now, what is the de minimis exclusion? Basically, if anything is $800 or less coming in from China, it does not have to go through customs or inspection. So companies like Temu and Shein have been using this as a loophole to get around inspections coming through to the U.S. Now, the United States Postal Service had to put a temporary pause in there in order to figure out how to get more workers into these areas in order to inspect things, plus different mechanisms in order to accept so many packages. So honestly, I'm very impressed that they were able to do this turnover in such little time. So apparently they got it all solved, all figured out, but I will say that a lot of these Temu and Shein shipments, they're going to take a little bit longer now. So if you did order anything from Shein, Temu, or anything of the like, I would absolutely expect delays. So I'd like to hear in the comments below what you guys think.
Everything you know about made in China is wrong. I'm sure when you think about products made in China, you're thinking of those cheap products that have that made in China sticker on the back. And while China is still one of the leading producers, if not the biggest producer and the biggest manufacturer in the world, they are going to be putting their made in China sticker on a lot more expensive and important things. For example, some of China's tech companies are leading the way in AI. Kuaishou, which is a big technology company over there, started Kling AI, which is a text to video app that is actually now a competitor to OpenAI's Sora. 2, China is leading the way with electrical vehicles. Not only do they have access to a lot of the raw materials, but they're also able to produce a lot of these vehicles themselves. 3, China is also the top producer in solar panels. My point here is that when we think of made in China, we oftentimes only think of cheap products, and China is developing a lot quicker than we think. That made in China sticker is not just going to be on the end of a fork, but it's now going to be on the back of a car. Y'all, we consume so many Chinese products and we don't even know it. The foundation of our American businesses are often over in China. This morning, I've been reading about how Trump's 10% tariff on Chinese imports went into effect today. Beijing, in response, has also announced some countermeasures against U.S. exports going over to China as well. But it's crazy because so many of our American businesses manufacture over in China. Think Nike, Adidas, H&M, Gap. All of their cotton, athletic shoes, everything that they produce is over there. Another interesting one is hospital supplies. Think gloves, masks, pharmaceutical ingredients. China is a major exporter of these goods. And I said this in a video yesterday, but China is also one of the leading manufacturers of auto parts. So in the next little bit, we could be seeing an increase in how much cars cost. We can be seeing an increase in the retail prices. How much are those hospital supplies? I was reading in the news that Trump and Xi are supposed to have a conversation coming up. It's not scheduled yet, but it seems like there's only so far this can go because our economies are more intertwined than I think we know.
It is because Chinese government that so many Chinese came out of poverty, and some go to get really good job like working in TikTok and making app that you are using right now. You have to thank Chinese government. You are not hearing Chinese propaganda. You are hearing truth about China that sounds like propaganda because you hear too much Western propaganda.
Hand, and I know that we can do better, and we will do better, because this is an area that we can grow in terms of bringing manufacturing made in America again can come back, driven by rural America, and paying attention to people that have been forgotten about. That's what President Trump does.
So Trump promised to bring auto manufacturing back to America, and that he did. So yeah, expect to have a new Ford plant being built here. They're planning on investing tens of billions of dollars back into the manufacturing department, back into the American economy, bringing more jobs back into America, because shit might just get real. We might end up in a full-on trade war, which is not going to last very long. And 2, we are going to win. And so all those regulations and stipulations that they've been hit with all these years that made them decide to pack up and get out of Dodge, well, those are all going to be lifted. And all they need to do is make sure to commit to hire Americans. That's it. Pump money back into the American economy for the American people. Because like the guy said, for far too long, we've been taxing our people, taking money from our people, and enriching other nations. It's time for other nations to pay up. We're here to collect, bitch. Cause hell yeah, we tired of looking rich, but actually being broke. Cause we know that's what America is. America look rich, but we broke as shit. You can't be rich and have a $34 trillion debt over your head. We ain't finna do that. Donald J. Trump is planning on knocking that off with a lot of tariff, whole lot of tariff, and a whole lot of spending between Americans. That's what's finna happen. So yeah, anybody else feeling froggy? Jump, bitch. Jump.
Here's how Trump bringing manufacturing back in the United States will actually make it more expensive for everyone. In China, the average wage per hour for a factory worker is $5 an hour, but in the US, it's 3 times higher at $15 an hour. That means a shirt that costs $1 to make in China will cost $3 to make in the United States, making it $2 more expensive. Since Nike, if they're the one manufacturing the shirt, operates at a 13% operating margin, we know that they have to increase their price to still be profitable. That means Nike will have to charge $2.25 more to maintain their 13% profit margin, which is why bringing manufacturing into the United States will just make things more expensive.
So there's the massive cost that we're going to incur as a result of deporting our migrants. The American taxpayer is going to have to fund that. And then we'll have to deal with the financial ramifications of losing millions of workers in the US. Depending on the state, between 25 and 50% of agricultural workers, about 20% of all construction workers, food service, domestic, landscaping workers. But let's not forget that all of those workers pay their taxes, and they can't withdraw from Social Security. They can't access it. Undocumented migrants keep Social Security going because they pay into it with their paycheck and they don't take out. Households headed by an undocumented worker pay over $10 billion a year in taxes. That's income tax, property tax, and most significantly, sales tax. So is the rest of the American populace going to absorb all of that tax burden that those folks were paying? How's that going to work out for us?
Trump has already broken his number one promise to voters that he would bring the cost of foods down. That is just not going to happen. His deportations of immigrants has caused such a huge rippling effect throughout the farm industry that it's caused many laborers who are immigrants to just not show up to work. Many of them have self-deported and gone back to wherever they're from. Going through the fields here in Ventura County, there was no one working. I'm hearing reports that some farmers are saying that 75% of their workforce did not show up to work on Friday. So what does that mean? It means food is going to stay in the vines and rot and go bad. And it means we're going to have a disruption in our food supply chain. So everyone better buckle up because food's about to shoot up really high. The cost of strawberries, the cost of avocados, the cost of lettuce, the cost of everyday things we eat and take for granted are going to shoot up because there is no one in the fields to pick them. So I hope you all are happy who voted for this man.
Wow, this trade war is really hitting so hard. And yeah, that's the reality on the ground. This is a country that was fully dependent on immigrant labor force. And maybe now that they are sent to jail,
So Donald Trump has begun to move migrants to Guantanamo Bay. And before you turn a blind eye, just know that you're next. And you being a legal resident or citizen isn't going to stop them from picking you up, putting you in a detention camp, and you never seen the light of day.
Like for recommendation especially. And goodbye. Appreciate you.